You know that song you've had on repeat all week? Ever stop to think about what actually protects it, legally speaking? Well, that's what we're going to get into today. The whole world of music copyright, right from the second a song is born.
Yeah, it's a great question. You hit play, but where does the money actually go? The entire answer boils down to one key concept: copyright. So let's start at square one, at the very beginning of a song's journey.
All right, first things first, what even is music copyright? Let's break it down.
Okay, so think of copyright like a force field for creativity. It's this legal idea that basically says, hey, you made this, so you own it. It gives the creator exclusive rights, which means they get to decide how their work is used and shared. It's what makes sure they get the credit and, can actually make a living from what they made.
And here's the really cool part. This protection is automatic. The second a musician records a melody on their phone as a voice memo, or even just jots down some lyrics, bam, it's copyrighted. They don't have to go fill out a bunch of complicated paperwork. That legal force field just pops right into existence.
Okay, so now we're going to get into something that trips a lot of people up. It's a super important distinction, and it's at the heart of how all of this works. The easiest way to wrap your head around this is with a recipe and a take. Seriously, there are actually two separate copyrights for almost every song you hear. First, there's the musical composition. Think of this as the recipe. The notes, the melody, the lyrics, the songwriter or their publisher owns this. Then you have the sound recording. This is the finished cake, the actual recorded track that you listen to. The performing artist or their record label usually owns this. And cover songs are the perfect example of this in action. When a new artist records a cover, they are baking their own unique cake. That's their new sound recording, and they own it. But they're still using someone else's original recipe, the musical composition. This means both the person who wrote the recipe and the person who baked the new cake have rights, and they both need to get paid. So, we've got the rights figured out. Now for the big question. How does all of this actually turn into money for the artists? Okay, picture this. You're in a cafe, and your favorite song comes on the speakers. Well, that cafe pays a fee to a special kind of company called a performing rights organization, or a PRO. These PROs are basically music detectives. They track which songs get played in public places, collect all that money, and then make sure it gets to the right songwriters. These payments are called royalties, and PROs are a crucial link in the chain.
And that's not the only way. There's another important stream of income called mechanical royalties. It's kind of an old school name, but the idea is simple. Every single time a copy of a song is made, whether that's a physical vinyl record, a digital download, or even a stream, a small payment goes back to the songwriter. It goes right back to our analogy. The creator of the recipe gets paid for every single cake that's sold.
So how much are we talking about per stream? Well, get a load of this. That tiny number, about 0.3 of a cent, is roughly what an artist or songwriter might earn from one single stream on some platforms. I know, it sounds like practically nothing, right? But this is exactly why scale is everything in modern music. You need millions or even billions of streams for those tiny fractions of a penny to add up to real, meaningful income. Okay, let's bring all this home. How does copyright affect you and how you use music in your everyday life? So, does copyright last forever? Nope, it actually has a lifespan. The general rule in most places that it protects a work for the creator's entire life, plus an extra 70 years after they're gone. This allows their family to continue benefiting from their work. But once that timer finally runs out, something pretty cool happens. The work enters what's called the public domain. And that basically means it belongs to everyone. It's free for anyone to use for any purpose without asking for permission or paying a dime. This is exactly why you hear so much really old classical music in movies and TV commercials. All right, this chart is super useful for stuff you might actually do. Let's say for a school project, right? Using a short clip of a song to analyze it is usually fine. But just slapping a popular song onto your presentation as background music, yeah, that's a no-go. And sampling, this is huge for music creators. Even if you only use a couple of seconds from another track, you legally have to get permission. And for social media, your safest bet is always to just use the licensed music library that's built right into the app. And this all leads to a really crucial point about piracy. When music is shared illegally, that whole money chain we talked about just breaks. It completely shatters. The artist, the songwriter, the producer, no one who worked on that song gets paid a single cent. So when you stream from an official platform or buy music legally, you're not just getting a song. You're directly helping those artists afford to keep making the music you love. All right, for our final section, let's look to the future. because brand new technology is starting to shake up the entire idea of music copyright. I mean, just think about these questions. If an AI creates a song from scratch, can it even be copyrighted? If it can, who owns it? The person who coded the AI? And what about software that can perfectly copy a famous singer's voice? How do we protect that? These aren't sci-fi questions anymore. This is what artists and lawyers are trying to solve right now. The tech is moving way faster than the rules. And that brings us to this final, massive question. If an AI generates an absolute banger of a song, a #1 hit, who gets the copyright? Who gets the money? There really are no easy answers yet, but how we decide to solve this is going to shape the entire future of music and creativity. It's a lot to think about, right?